This episode of Hustle Haven is sponsored by Dor Insurance Group. You work hard for the life you deserve, let them help you protect it. While you secure the bag, the Dor Insurance Group will help you insure the bag. For more information and details on all things insurance, reach out to them using the details in the show notes below. Now back to the episode.
Happy Monday and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Hustle Haven. We are your hosts. I am Taisha Renee.
And I'm River the Realtor.
And per usual, y'all, another week, more gems, more information that you just need in this world. So today we have another amazing guest sitting on the couch with us. We have Mr. Herve Dor, who is an entrepreneur who protects other entrepreneurs, communities, and families from financial disaster through insurance and financial risk management. His background in cash logistics and law enforcement gives him a unique perspective on risk, which he uses to deliver tailored advice and protection strategies for his clients. So let's welcome Mr. Herve. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for being a male on the couch with us. I feel like are the guys scared of us?
Yeah, are you guys scared?
We haven't had a male guest in like a year.
We haven't, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
We're happy to have you.
We're happy to have you.
No, I'm happy to be here. I feel like it's been long overdue. I love what y'all been doing.
Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate that. So, guys, today's episode is going to be all about insurance. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, I really feel like insurance is just something that people overlook. It's not something that you just sit and think about like, oh, I need insurance.
And I think people always like put insurance into two buckets. It's either like health insurance or like life insurance.
Or car insurance.
Or car insurance. Like, it's just like
complain.
the general, people don't think about like business insurance, but I feel like anything that's important to you, you should insure it.
Exactly.
That's the whole message right there.
Exactly. I feel like when I think about insurance, I always relate to car insurance, and people are always like, why in the world do I need this? Then you get in an accident and then you're like, oh,
right there.
Okay,
right.
That's why I need it.
Yeah.
So you don't really learn its importance until like something
actually happens.
Something happens. So
and then when something happens, it's actually too late.
Exactly. Now you got to start from scratch, and now you got to pay out of pocket.
Period.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Herve, let's start off with the big question. Like, why in the world do we even need insurance?
I think you kind of hinted to it earlier, right? It's either you pay for insurance or you pay for it out of pocket when something actually happens, right? Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather pay a little bit every month and know that if something big happens, I don't have to shell out hundreds of thousands of dollars and be okay. So that is why you need insurance.
I don't care how much money I get. I will never be okay with giving out hundreds of thousands for anything.
For something that happened, not even, most times isn't even your fault.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What are some things, when you say like things happen, like what are some things that you've seen happen, maybe from the business perspective, and you're like, okay, aren't you happy you had some insurance?
Well, to be honest with you, every business has its risk, right? Whether you're a restaurant owner, whether you're doing Airbnb, whether you're a lawyer, you're on an association, right? So really, you just want to make sure that you have the right coverage associated to your type of business. If you're a restaurant, people get food poisoning, right?
Right.
People slip. You know, if you have hookah, coals, and all types of stuff, it can get bad.
And so people like can sue. This is like in the event that you're sued by a patron or somebody that's like coming into your business, this insurance will essentially cover any accidents or liabilities.
Exactly. Or even worse, you know, sometimes, especially with the restaurants, stuff can happen where the restaurant gets on fire, right?
Right.
It's true.
It takes thousands to build out, especially a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
So you want to protect the business assets that you have in the restaurant. And all types of business, too.
I think that's a good perspective when you're talking about, as business owner, protecting those who are utilizing your services and your businesses, but also protecting what you're building as that business owner. Because I think, do you feel like those are two different things, or do they kind of go hand in hand as far as what type of insurance you would have for your business?
It goes hand in hand. As a business owner, you want to protect the investment that you've put into the business, right?
Right.
Like, if you're like going back to restaurants, if you buy a fryer, that might be $100,000 fryer,
easily,
right? If something happens, you have to buy that all over again. Which is like, why do that when you can have an insurance policy that you pay, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, depending on the restaurant, a year.
I was about to say per month? Oh, per year. Okay.
I mean, depending on the restaurant. But you pay a small fraction of the amount and it covers all your stuff rather you having to buy it all over again.
So it feels like when it comes to business, insurance is kind of twofold. You have that insurance that are going to cover your things, and then you have insurance that covers like incidents in your business. What does that look like? Like, what kind of insurance would that be? What kind of protection
That's
do we
a good
actually have?
one, because I'm sure there are like different types of insurances. So like, what are those? Like, I guess maybe there's some key ones or the important ones for entrepreneurs. Like, what are those different types of insurance people should at least consider?
Got you. So really it's industry specific, but you have your general liability policies, right?
Okay.
This is just like your bare bones. Like if you have a business, you should have some sort of general liability, right? But then you want to have business personal property coverage, which is going to cover the things that you buy for your business, all your equipment, things like that. But if you're a professional, most professionals need errors and omissions insurance.
Real estate. We got that bad.
Yes, y'all already know about it, right? Because the type of work you do is different than somebody else, right? Your work is more, the things that will happen will more be caused of like negligence and things like that. So you got to have that coverage just in case, a mistake was to happen.
What are the average costs though? Because it's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
Can we afford to be having these different types of things? And I know it depends on like the business type, the scale of the business, but let's say it's a small
mom and pop.
Small little
mom and pop situation.
What's the average for like each of those different types of insurance that you see per month?
Per month. So most mom and pop type businesses are low risk, right?
Yeah.
So if it's low risk, it's going to be low cost.
Right.
If you're in a high risk business and you're new at it, for sure, it's going to be more because you're a riskier type of business.
Yeah.
So anything that, if something were to happen, it's going to cost thousands of dollars on a claim, you're going to spend a little bit more.
Okay.
But that's just the way business works.
Makes sense. So I guess I'll say this, for somebody looking, because I think one thing we always talk about with like new business owners, right? There are all these expenses already tied to like launching a business. You got your marketing expenses, you got your inventory expenses, you got your e-commerce, whatever the case may be. Is this something that you would recommend like coming out the gate you should have? Or is it when you hit a certain level in your business, you want to start considering having insurance?
Now, coming out the gate, you need insurance. Because when you come out the gate, you can't afford for something to happen and you to pay out of pocket. Right? You already probably don't have that much capital to start your business. You definitely don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay when something goes wrong. So when you're starting a business, you got to factor in the cost of insurance. And looking at it from a tax standpoint, it's a write-off anyway. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about that.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about the tax write-off because we love a tax write-off. Let's dive into that. Like, what does that look like? Because I know, like she mentioned, like when you're starting a business, you have all of these different overhead costs. You kind of really don't even know if the business is going to be successful.
And you have overhead costs while you're not making any money.
Exactly.
So that part.
So like if we can get a write-off, let's get a write-off. Let's talk about the write-off.
And, I'm not a tax consultant, so I'm not going to go too deep.
Yeah, give us just like the overlay.
The little overlay. So really, anything you do as a business owner, for the most part, is a write-off for your business,
true.
right? So especially one thing I see with realtors a lot, y'all use your cars for business, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can get a commercial auto insurance policy instead of having a regular insurance policy.
Okay.
Now that makes that a write-off, right?
Oh.
Your phone.
See.
Commercial auto insurance policy.
Let me write that down.
Look, I'll be calling State Farm a little later today to see my options.
Another thing, so if you have like key persons, right, in your business that are essential, then you can write a life insurance policy for them. And that makes that life insurance policy an expense.
Okay, let's talk about that. When you say key people in your business, these are people that assist you in your business that you feel like are very like influential, I guess, into making the business work.
Exactly. Like your business really can't run without them, and you would
Is
have.
that controversial?
I'm about to say,
because I'm imagining I work for somebody and they tell me they took a life insurance policy out of me. Well, I'm
like,
not coming
why
back
are you
to work because are you
planning
trying to kill me?
No,
Why are
but
you doing that?
in business you gotta take the emotion out of things, right?
Okay,
It's
that's
like
fair.
if you're the
People
only.
always say that. Sorry.
You do though.
got
They
to,
do though.
It's like you're the only person that does that just like that, right? So if I were to find somebody else, I'm gonna have a loss until I can train that person to do it just like that.
So this insurance will cover the fact, I'm so sorry because this is intriguing. This insurance will cover, let's say this is my person, they're helping me run my day-to-day operations, and for some reason they have to move to Ireland.
No,
No, they gotta die?
Yeah, they gotta die. That's life insurance.
I just thought
You
you
gotta
meant like
have
on
the
their
death
life,
certificate.
on their everyday life, not their permanent life. Okay, this is a little crazy. Got it. I don't know. I feel like that was a little controversial for me because me as an employer, I feel like having that conversation with, hey, I'm gonna actually get a life insurance policy on you. I think that would be a hard conversation for me to have.
That would be a very hard conversation for
Well,
me to
no,
have.
I mean, because it could be seen as a benefit too.
Okay.
Right?
Do
Because
they benefit from that policy if I take one?
Or their
out?
family
their
benefits
family could
from the
benefit from the
okay.
policy.
That's
The
fair.
family could be listed as a beneficiary, and then the
Okay.
business will be a beneficiary.
Okay.
Period.
Got it.
Yeah, so
See, you gotta write that one
I'm
down
gonna write
too.
that down. I'm gonna talk to some of my employees and see what their temperaments are.
Okay.
Right. And I mean, that helps with your taxes too. And this is all things I do for my personal business. So.
Right. I can appreciate that.
So what is the difference between like let's get into like personal insurance and why you need to separate that from, because someone may think, okay, I have life insurance, I have car insurance separate from the commercial, I have, health
Personal.
insurance, whatever. How do you separate, or why should you separate the personal insurance from the business insurance?
Well, I think the main reason why you want to separate it is in the event of a claim, right? Let's say if you are using your car for business purposes and you get into an accident, right? The insurance company has the right to go ahead and deny that claim because you weren't using it like you said you were using.
Which would be for like personal reasons. If I was using it for a business use.
That'd be a whole separate type of policy. So that's looked at as like a misrepresentation on the application. So they could say, oh, word? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're not about to pay for that.
Interesting.
And I feel like insurance companies do this. I will say, like, being in real estate, I'm in real estate and construction, so I see a lot of dealings with insurance companies. Where they ultimately, even though you've been paying this policy month after month after month, they get to decide what they deem is insurable versus not. So I feel like that's kind of like a really big gem. Like, they really can, at the end of the day, make the decision whether or not they're going to insure what happens. And so if you are, like we do, use our cars for everything real estate, and something happens while we're on the clock or doing work-related things, my personal State Farm coverage may not protect that. And that's problematic.
That's very
Yeah, because I mean, we're in an insurance climate right now where insurance companies want to save money, right? So if they could look for an excuse to not pay for something,
They will.
they will. So,
But why though? Because we're
Interesting.
paying you monthly. You need to cover this.
well, from an insurance company standpoint, if you're doing something that wasn't on the application when you signed up, you lying.
That's why you got to read that contract.
You got to read
Yeah.
that. It is a
How do you get
contract.
dual insurance? Like, how do you get dual coverage? Like me, I have 2 cars. I have one for my business, one for my personal. Oddly, my business car is not a commercial insurance like you said, but let's say I have 1 car. And on the weekends, I like to go to Opium. But Monday through Friday, I like to drive for dollars. How do I protect both of those on that one vehicle?
So in most insurance quotes or insurance policies, there's a section that says, is this used for business purposes, right? And as long as that's checked, yeah, you're
It
good.
covers it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Good.
All right.
Check
Jim,
y'all
check
insurance
off.
policies.
I need to go check my policy because
No,
I'm not
quite
sure
literally.
if I check that off.
Quite literally. And I almost hit your car on the driving.
Oh, and
I was trying to.
I mean, this would have had to been a personal thing. I really want to get into some real life examples. Like, I want to hear some real life stories of like, one, this happened, this business owner had this insurance in place, they were covered X, Y, and Z. And I also want to hear
Yeah.
on the flip side, like,
This
happened,
Uh-huh.
you didn't have any insurance,
And now this is what you left.
and now this is what you left with. 2 different scenarios, 2 different sides of the insurance, I guess you can say.
Well, I'll give you one from my book of business. It was probably the most expensive claim that I've seen pay out personally.
Ooh, my arms. I hate giving away money, and it's just like,
Is this a good or
bothering
bad
me.
one? Who's paying out? Is the
It's
insurance paying out?
Yeah,
or
it's
the
a
business
good one
owner?
because
Okay.
the
The
insurance
insurance
company
man.
paid out. Because
Okay.
he was one of my clients. You my
Period.
client, it's going to be paid out. It's going to be taken care of.
Oh,
Period.
hey,
Y'all know who to call.
you know who to call.
But this dude, he had an Airbnb in North Georgia, a beautiful home, right? Like just gorgeous. And people were using it for like wedding receptions and things like that, right?
Okay.
So apparently at one event, somebody got way too intoxicated. I think they ended up like falling off the side of a cliff or something like that.
A
And,
cliff.
yeah, they.
Oh, when you say North Georgia, you mean like
yeah, the mountains.
Okay, the mountains.
Yeah.
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge, Ella J.
So that happened. Ended
I'm
up paying-
assuming he died.
Yeah, I think they passed away.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just know we paid out close to $800,000 for that.
So, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Your client is the actual owner of the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Someone dies on the premises. Do they try to sue him as the owner of the home?
They sued the owner of the home.
Yeah,
That's what happened at their
exactly what
house.
happened.
Even though they were more than likely intoxicated, they were
Yeah.
doing things that
Negligent.
they shouldn't have done. At the end of the day, they passed away. Their family's looking for some compensation.
And it's gonna come from them. Okay, so question about that. somebody else is negligent. Now my insurance has to cover something that I A, have nothing to do with, and B, was not my fault. Yeah. Does that have a negative impact on me as a business owner? Because now that somebody just paid $800,000 on my behalf, I'm assuming they don't want to talk to me moving forward. Because that's how I would feel.
I'm assuming my monthly premium is probably going to increase.
Through the roof.
Through the roof.
So what does that look like?
I mean, that's just the cost of doing business, right? Like, the unfortunate part of it.
Scared of that.
Okay, no Airbnb for me.
No, but you see, like, you should still want to do Airbnb. You still should want to do all these different business ventures, right? And just know that stuff is going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? There's going to be things that you don't ever plan to or foresee happening, and you just got to have the right policy in place to take care of it. And I mean, it was an unfortunate situation, but he didn't have to pay $800,000 out of pocket.
I was just going to say that, because I was going to say, on the flip side, right, what if he didn't have insurance and they would have saw $800,000? And, okay, the average American doesn't have $1,000 in their bank account. $800,000 is like, well, hold on. So if he didn't have had that insurance, what would that have looked like?
That would have looked like them coming after his business, but I mean, it wasn't an LLC, so that was a good thing. He didn't own the home under his personal name, so that was cool. But even then, if that happened, they would have came after his personal assets.
So that house, that car, and all of that. Taking it all back.
Garnishing your wages.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting perspective to insurance, because I think when we start a business as entrepreneurs, we do think of what can happen negatively, but it's not a matter of something that's significant, I think. It's like, what if I don't hit my sales this week? What if I don't, bring in this client? I don't think we think of it as of like, what if something bad happens to somebody that I'm servicing, and is that pricey of a ticket to, I guess, compensate the family or whatever that looks like that the insurance would do. So I think that's a good point in perspective to look at.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, especially in what we do in real estate.
Exactly.
Because I'll never forget the first time that the bill for errors and omissions insurance came from one of my brokerages. It was the first time a brokerage had ever charged me like in a lump sum for the year. And I'm like, $600? I am not giving y'all $600. I quit. I will go to another brokerage because that's crazy. And my broker at the time was just explaining like, this. I'm like, I'm not going to make the error that's worth this. This is crazy. And she basically started telling me about a scenario where a newer agent had a really, really high priced client that got under contract, and actually the inspector missed something. And because it was something foundational, the inspector missed it. The house basically ends up caving in. And this is a multi-million-dollar estate. But you sold it to me, and you told me it was okay, and you're my agent, and you represented me. Now I'm gonna sue the company. Well, you're an agent of the company, and we as agents know when we do deals, it's not between River and Taisha, it's between broker A and broker B.
Exactly.
So now it falls on them, and they're like, that's why we make y'all pay errors and omissions, because even if it's errors not on you, even if it's information you didn't omit, if somebody sued, that's a big ticket that you can't afford to pay. And so I think about that because, again, to Taisha's point, when we step into business, we're thinking about very surface level things like top producer.
How much money
did I cross my arms right in that picture? Like, did it work well? But we're not really thinking about the liabilities that come with this, especially in the industry where, I mean, we selling your biggest assets most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is essential.
Like they say, what can go wrong will go wrong.
At some point in time.
Exactly.
And the crazy thing is, it happens when you least expect it. You could be having the best day
of your life. Quite literally the best day of your life.
Yeah, like in real estate, that's why they say don't drive around clients in your car, because like, what if you get in an accident?
That's true.
And you have this person in your vehicle. And imagine you don't have the insurance. Now, like,
it's on you.
One, your car is done. And two, your client is probably suing you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a good point to have. So with insurance and with people looking into insurance, let's talk about how to choose the right provider. We know that you're the best.
We know it's you.
we know it's you. But like, if you had to sit down with an entrepreneur, what are some things that they should be looking for in the provider, or what the provider's offering, to make the best decision to say, this is the best insurance agent I should be working with.
Right.
This is the best insurance policy I should have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, add a layer, the insurance agent, but also like what's the right policy for the type of business that I have.
Yeah.
Got you, yeah. So I mean, there are certain carriers that deal with industry-specific risk, right?
Okay.
Like when you think of realtor errors and omissions, there's certain carriers that only do that. Certain carriers that only do videographers, there's only carriers that only do restaurants, right? So they have the expertise and they have the products and the coverage that are tailored to that sort of business. So I would look for a broker or agent that has access to those carriers and that knows your risk pretty well. Like, for example, I keep on saying restaurants because I'm a big foodie and like I insure a lot of restaurants, right?
Okay.
Just naturally. And dealing with restaurant owners, I already know the type of risks that are in their industry, right? So if you come to me and you're just starting out, I'm like, oh, I already know the type of coverages you need.
Exactly.
Like, I done already seen what can go wrong with you 10 different times. So here, just have this and you'll be okay. So just having somebody that, or a carrier that has expertise in that area of business.
So aligning yourself with someone who has industry experience with whatever your business is.
Exactly.
Because you'll be able to guide them and help them say, hey, give them scenarios of, okay, these are things that I can see happening and this is the best insurance policy for you.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take this a step further, right? I'm a girl. I'm just a girl. Okay?
Just a girl.
And like, I know I've gone into the dealership a few times and then they offer me all these things and they say stuff like, because if you don't get this and the car blow up, and I'm like, oh, I need to get all of it.
Seriously, when I was
and then my dad comes in like, no, she don't want this, she don't want that. Like, this is a mess. How do you, like, for somebody who like doesn't really know much about insurance, again, trying to choose the right policy, how do they kind of just deviate from the extras and nuances? Like, what are those base level things that are like, okay, these are necessities, these are add-ons?
Got you. I mean, you really just want to have a candid conversation with the person that you're dealing with, right? Like, have them really go through and break down every coverage that they're giving. Because some coverages, like, it really probably won't pertain to your business, right?
Okay.
If you're a solopreneur, you don't really need workers' comp unless it's for contractual, obligations, because you don't have any employees.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
You get a ghost policy, but that doesn't make sense unless it's worth
Too deep.
But certain things just won't apply to you. So if you see it on your policy and there's, a cost associated with it, you say, hey, why do I need this? Don't be afraid to question and push back on certain coverages.
Makes sense.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, I love that.
I'm excited. I feel like the one thing, because we had it on another platform that we did, and we talked about insurance, but I feel like we kind of talked about it from like
just a general
perspective.
Like, you need it, but why do you need it? You just
and I feel like it just kind of broke it down, because I think in my head I still had certain industries that I would never think you needed insurance. I'm like, e-commerce, why do I need insurance? But now I'm thinking like, oh my God, what if all your merchandise is sitting in one place and it catches on fire? Like, I'm thinking about all those different nuances. So I'm glad that you kind of share, again, just different pieces in the fact that different industries do require different levels of insurance, because like, what did you say? If anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
When you least expect it.
When you least expect
it.
Well, we definitely appreciate you stopping by. I think everything that you have shared today has been super, super beneficial. It's educated me. I wish I had a pen because I needed to write a few things down.
I'm doing that commercial auto today. Today.
It's okay. I'll be sending an email. Can you say that one more time? No, we have to rewatch this. But we want to thank you. Before we wrap up today, definitely want you to let the people know where they can find you, what services you provide, what industries you specialize in, so they can know how to get in contact with you.
How they can insure their bag.
Okay, insure the bag.
Exactly. So that's what it's all about. If you have assets, everything that you work hard for, it's worth protecting. We'll help you insure your bag. You can follow us on Instagram at Dor Insurance Group, on LinkedIn at Dor Insurance Group, Mr. Insure the Bag on YouTube.
Period.
And we will link all of that in the show notes so that you guys can access, give them a call, reach out. And like he said, insure everything that is of value to you.
Exactly.
And that's everything, okay?
And for your kids, your parents, your jewelry. We talking about everything, okay?
Okay. Per usual, make sure you like this episode, share, comment, do all the good things. We love the support, and we appreciate the support. And we'll see you on our next episode.
See you guys.
Bye.